Hello and welcome to episode 24 of JagaVision. We are going to have some really amazing guests on today. We're going to have Neha and Vivek and Rajiv of the Doke Estate in Bihar, India. They're going to be joining us live from India. There's been a little bit of an issue trying to get them to join the call right now. I know there's some it's a pretty difficult time in India right now. With a pretty intense lockdown and all the issues that everybody's facing globally with the pandemic. So we're really lucky that they have agreed to come on. It is quite late over there right now. It's 11:42 p.m. So we're lucky that they've agreed to join. Normally JagaVision is held at 1 p.m. So the reason you're seeing this at 11 is because I didn't want them to be up at 1:30 a.m. for being on the show. But they were game last week, but we had to reschedule, so we were being nice to them this week, and they're being nice to us by rejoining. So really excited to have them on. We're also going to be joined by Sister Speak. She's ready to rock and roll as her show starts at 12. If you want to catch her live performance, it's at patreon.com/sisterspeak. You can check her out there. Today we're going to be drinking this Tocklai small leaf. So I don't know if you can see this okay, but that is the one of our new crimsons. It's a 2020 harvest. We don't normally get an opportunity to work with female farmers, if you can believe it. So this is unique in that the person who's in charge of processing these leaves is Miss Neha. She is very skilled. She's been doing a lot of hand rolling. So in an industry, especially in India, where there's a lot of technological advancements that really encourage people to use big machines to process, just like in Japan, etc. You see a little bit more hand processing happening in smaller farms in Taiwan and India, China, but I don't find them as often as in India, so it's always exciting when we do. The Doke Estate that Neha is with, she is partners with her brother Vivek and her father Rajiv, and these guys donate actually all the profits from the estate to charity. It's poverty alleviation in the Bihar region where the estate is located. It's also located at sea level, which is uncommon. Normally you're going to be having exciting teas grown at higher elevations, but they've chosen the Tocklai cultivar for those specific growing conditions to produce some pretty exciting teas. So we're going to talk to them a little bit about why they chose the Tocklai cultivar, why they started Bihar, the fact that even though their trees are quite young for the industry, they're still producing some really beautiful flavors, and how that is possible, and the different steps that they're taking to make that happen. So yeah, as soon as they join in, life will be good. A little bit concerned that they might not jump on the call. We're just double checking here. And yeah, there's been an issue with getting them to join the call. So bear with us as we try to make this happen. Where are we? I'm gonna be making some tea before we start. So rather than having the Tocklai right from the get-go, I'm gonna be trying a tea that I've never had before. So what I'm thinking is, where are we? Wanted to try a green tea from Mr. Yamaguchi. So we've been working with Yamaguchi this year. He's doing unsprayed teas in the Ujitawara growing region. He sent me a sample of some genmaicha. And genmaicha apparently was invented during World War II, when there was a lack of supply in terms of tea, and people stretched the tea supply by adding roasted brown rice. So we're going to see what we can do for making some nice flavors with this particular tea. I'm going to dose probably something similar to like I would with a sencha. I'm going to put in a full 8 grams for 240 mils. I'm going to bring my temperature up to 70 degrees. So this looks like it has been dusted with some matcha. That's going to bring out a really vibrant color in the first steep. I'm not a big fan of having matcha in with my genmaicha or my sencha because it's so prone to oxidation so quickly. So it tastes great at first, but you're not going to really have a very good tea otherwise. Like after about 3 months, you'll taste, oxidation. But this is still fresh. It's smelling really, really good. And I mean, he uses, generally speaking, he's working with Yabukita. He has worked with an Okumidori for his matcha. So I assume this is dusted with some Okumidori matcha, but we'll see. Yeah, Yamaguchi's also pretty committed to natural growing practices. So we do find that his selections are a little bit cleaner than most. So we really appreciate that work. I am looking for a good genmaicha. It's been a while since I've been able to find one. I don't want anything bland, and when we did work with them in the past, we would sell them to our cafe customers wholesale, and it was kind of a nice, more economical option that still tasted good. Very popular in North America with your Japanese restaurants serving this tea. So it seemed like a good idea to give people a comfortable tea, but we've since moved to a system where the teas need to be produced quickly, 30 seconds or less, and that's proved to make it difficult to bring in a genmaicha that fits that criteria. So we end up working with deeply steamed senchas a lot of the time because they are meant to be produced in quick infusions with hotter temperatures, which is a lot more ideal for our cafe clients. Let's see though. So we're at 70 degrees. Let's pour 240 on that. And if I had been doing my job properly, we would be seeing my timer working. I'm going to go for a 2-minute brew. And we'll see what happens. Okay. Might happen today just because of the difficulty in making this connection happen with the farmers. We might actually have to do this show without our guests, as it looks like I'm not getting any responses when I'm emailing them. I'm not getting any responses when I'm sending them messages over the software that we use for making these calls happen. But we do, luckily enough, have the wonderful Sherry-Ann, lead singer of Sister Speak, who will be joining us, who's ready to rock and roll when we are. So we're just going to give it, I think, another 2 minutes to see if we can't get everybody on the line. Sister Speak, are you there? Can you hear me? Yeah? Why don't we bring you on the call? Gonna see if we can't unmute the speakers coming in. Okay, there we are. Okay. Sister Speak, hello?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Okay, awesome. All right, so we have Sister Speak joining us. Welcome to JagaVision.
Thank you.
I know you have your show coming on at 12 where you're going to be doing your live stream that you do every week.
Yes.
To our viewers, patreon.com/sisterspeak. You can check her out there. And I always forget to introduce myself to the viewers too. Like, I am Jared Nyberg. I own Jaga Silk with my wife Miu. And you can find our products on jagasilk.com. And you can find this Tocklai small leaf up there shortly. I love to do a sneak preview of the selections on JagaVision, so you get as excited as we do. So, Sherry-Ann, thank you again. Looks like I'm having a really hard time getting the farmers to respond. I did have a good chance to check in with them last week before the show that they were going to be on, and then that show had to be rescheduled. They did say that they were excited to come on this week. I can only fear that maybe something's happened to their internet connection, or there's some sort of technical barrier happening that's preventing them from joining the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, actually, I just thought of something. I'm gonna try calling them in India using my landline. So just give me a second. I'm gonna put everything. I'll do a be right back. Audience, if you can just hang out. Can I put you on hold for a moment here, Sister Speak?
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on one sec. And it's looking problematic. It is quite late there, so I imagine nobody's managing the phones. It's again, it's 11:30 p.m. in Bihar. This is really too bad. Okay, you know what? I think we're just gonna have to move on with the show. That's too bad, and hopefully they can join us at some point in the show, and we'll be able to enjoy this beautiful tea with them. But for now, why don't you and I enjoy it, Cheyenne?
All right. I have it right here.
You have it right here? Okay, so we're going to have, so this again, it's a Tocklai, that's Tocklai Vegetative 24 and 27. This has been chosen because it has a lot of beautiful small white hairs and a lot of delicate bud that's produced at this time of year, like end of March, early April when it's harvested.
Oh, wow.
And normally really high quality teas are grown at a high elevation. So the way that you're able to produce, and you want to set your kettle for 90 degrees, if you can?
Okay, sure. I have a...
Or are you going to do the vessel transfer today?
I have a unique situation. I have a, Dad's setup. Do you know how many degrees it is?
So what you want to do is boil some water then, if you can, and then you'll get something specific. Are you able to do that? You can't do that?
I don't really have that option today.
Okay. Why don't we just hope for the best that what you're working with is 90 degrees centigrade. I have no idea what that temperature is. Yeah.
I've been doing it, and it tends to, like, if I go by the calculations, I've made a lot of tea so far here.
Yeah?
And it seems like it's around 95 degrees.
Okay. All right.
Like,
so
it's not quite boiling.
This tea is going to hold up pretty good to being a little hotter. So why don't we just go straight onto the tea, preheat your brewing vessel, and then work with it that way. So for the audience, I'm going to be making this tea 3 grams, 180 mils. We're going to be doing 90 degrees centigrade. I don't know if you can see that okay. There we go. And then for you, this is the packaging. And we're going to be doing 3 grams, 180 mils. We're going to be doing it for 3.5 minutes. So what I do want to do is I want to make sure that I preheat my brewing vessel. Always want to choose glass or ceramic. I think plastic just kind of makes me squeamish. And you want to have lots of room for the tea leaves to spin with convection currents to properly extract flavor, doing a process called jumping. So never put your tea into a tea ball or tea cylinder or anything like that. So, yeah.
3 grams?
You're looking at 3 grams, 180 mils for 3.5 minutes.
Wow, I just pulled some out and it went to exactly 3 grams.
That's amazing. I love those moments.
I feel like I'm actually set up properly today. This is the little case for the scale.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, let's look at your setup. So you have well, I mean, once we start brewing, we'll have 3.5 minutes. Let's talk about it a bit.
Should I start brewing it now?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab the water. It's right here.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm just gonna weigh out 180 grams. Those of you who do use a scale for brewing, you'll note that it's super convenient because 1 milliliter weighs 1 gram. So you can always skip using a measuring cup if you want to be consistent with your water volume. So you can see if the difference between flavors between different teas is because of the tea or because of your technique. By having consistent technique, you're more able to taste the differences between different teas. And so, big proponent of weighing everything. I would say that...
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Weighing your leaves is a good idea too, and that's what Cheyenne has done. So she's weighed her leaves. Did you weigh your water too?
Yeah, well, I have a measuring cup. How much water was it again? Hope I get
180.
it. Yeah, that's what I have.
Perfect. Okay, great.
That's what the small cup is on the thing here.
Cool. Okay, amazing. So yeah, if you want to set a timer for 3.5 minutes after you've put it in, maybe 3 minutes right now,
Okay.
and then we're going to be in a good place. So okay, why don't you show the audience a little bit about what you're working with? So you have a mason jar that you're brewing in.
Yep, and I have this little scale, pocket scale.
Excellent.
Here it goes. It goes in this little case. And then I have a couple different teacups. They're
Excellent.
the ceramic ones. And then I have a little strainer.
So you're going to strain into a decanter? Is that what's going to happen?
Well, I have this teapot I was thinking of straining into.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and I often tell people that teapots are great decanters. Many times teapots, especially, that doesn't look like a North American teapot, but you know those really big ones that are like 2 liters? You know, those teapots are often just, their drop time is really, really slow. So it's really hard.
Oh.
It's really hard to control your if you want like a full extraction, so you're keeping the leaves in there and letting them spin with convection currents, they're not in like a tight T-ball or a tight cylinder, you're going to find that you have a very slow drop time out of those larger teapots. And I find that they're great as decanters, though, because oftentimes it's a person's favorite teapot, etc., but it's not an ideal candidate for brewing with. And a lot of people don't decant their teas, but it does make a big difference, because if you decant your teas, you're going to have evenly strengthed teas between cups. Some people like pour through the sieve into the cups and separate them before decanting, right? But to have that evenly strengthed extraction really makes a big difference. So yeah, so this what I'm working with is I have a little this max 210 mils teapot, a glass teapot, hand blown. I also have one of my favorite decanters. This is from a company called Ceramic Story, which I find hilariously ironic because it's not ceramic. And but it's my favorite because you can pour like mid-air, and you know how a lot of things like they just spill whenever you're transferring between vessels. This is like the perfectly formed decanter where like I'm not spilling anything, and I don't know, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. But
hey, do you know what this bowl is here that has like the pour thing on it?
It's called
I really like this bowl too.
It's called a yuzamashi. It literally means water cooler downer.
Oh.
And it's meant for the process of cooling your water for brewing with. Because with Japanese teas, that's a very Japanese thing. You don't want to use boiling water on your tea, period. So there's a whole industry around, you know, cooling your vessels. So the yuzamashi is a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can put, like, say, for example, you could preheat, like if you have boiling water, you could preheat your brewing vessel, right? And then you could pour it into that yuzamashi. You could also use that yuzamashi as a decanter, but now you've dropped it 100 to 90, 90 to 80, and then you could just you could then fill all the cups you're going to be working with, and you could preheat them, and now you've dropped it to 70. And the most common brewing temperature for Japanese green tea is 70 degrees. So if you go teapot, yuzamashi, and cups, then you've just achieved the temperature that you need for brewing. Now, in Japanese tea-making theory, you don't decant first, which I think is unfortunate. I think you should decant, but yeah. They do, like, pour a little bit, 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 and then they kind of try to evenly distribute between cups different sections of the extraction.
I see.
Whereas Taiwanese and Chinese style is you decant. Really beautiful color, hey?
Yeah, mine looks like that too.
Yeah. When I was drinking,
I don't have a clear cup.
I normally drink out of a little ceramic teacup, but today I've been really enjoying the color. So.
Wow, this is amazing.
Isn't that nice? I like raisins and apricot. And
yes. Actually, it kind of reminds me of Mesa Sunrise cereal.
Yeah, there's like a cooked wheat quality to it, hey? Or like
my favorite
cooked
cereal
grain.
on the planet. Yes, cooked grain.
Yeah.
Or like the best oatmeal.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. That's nice.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is tea that was meant originally when they were planting it. They were like, hey, you know what? There's like this huge focus on crimson teas, aka black teas in India, to the point where when you say region names like Darjeeling and Assam, they're like they equivocate those regions with like a tea style. Like people, when you say Assam, you just assume the person means crimson tea, aka black tea, right? Like they are. That is where you go with it normally. But when Assam region estates start producing green teas or white teas or different genres of tea, they often don't do very well because people just that's not why they're in Assam. That's not why they're purchasing from Assam. The unfortunate side of this is that there's a big industry trend away from crimson black teas and toward green teas and white teas, because of the perceived health benefits, right? What's unfortunate is that, I don't know, I'm of the opinion, and one of our guests, you'll probably remember him, Pedro Villalon from O5 Tea, he once brought up to me that, this whole like green tea, white tea, yellow tea, crimson tea, oolongs, it's so gray. They're kind of all the same thing. And nobody's really truly measuring perfectly that they fit that realm of oolong or fit that realm of crimson. I think they're useful tools for measuring where you're at in the withering process. But yeah. Sorry, I just thought I got a message from our.
Ooh.
Let me see. No, we didn't. Okay, I thought we did. Sorry, where was I? I was talking about so it's unfortunate that a country like India, people are the big. I think China recently surpassed India as the biggest producer of tea in the world. They've always been huge, but they're like world leaders forever. But India overtook them because of the British getting involved with tea production, and purchasing all their teas from what was then their colony, India. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. I'm just getting. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So essentially, there was this. There's been a transition back to China, I guess you could say, and it's probably because China produces like the entire range, so there's so much more room for them to do well. Because they're like doing the greens, they're doing the whites, they're doing the oolongs. They're basically the birthplace of tea, is one way of looking at it. Anyway, I think we miss out when we focus too much on the greens and the whites. We don't get to taste these beautiful teas. Yeah.
So shall we talk about some of the health benefits of this tea in particular?
What's interesting is that crimson tea, oolong teas, pu'er teas, I should say dark teas, they aren't as revered as green teas by health enthusiasts, and it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but we often say that that's because so much research has been done on green tea.
Yeah, you were saying that last time.
So really the reality is that and I want to tell you, I repeat my jokes over and over and over again because I'm basically going senile.
I do that too.
Yeah, okay, and I tell the same story like 17 times in a row. Pardon to my viewers if I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Actually, you may be watching a rerun and you don't even know it.
I just was curious.
My life is a rerun.
The only reason I brought it up was because last time you mentioned it, and I was curious about going into that in a little more depth.
So green tea, you just see so much. Like if you go and you look up on PubMed, you look up green tea, you're going to find so many papers going into its health benefits. You do the same thing for black tea, crimson teas. You're not going to find that same breadth of work, right? And so you really have to depend a little bit more on traditional knowledge. And I think that tea in general is just really good for you. It helps to stimulate your nervous system, your blood flow. You get from crimson teas, though, the reality is because you've used that PPO enzyme to wither the leaves a little bit deeper than you do with your greens or your whites, you are definitely reducing the amount of inhibitors that are in the plant that are going to block the release or slow down the release of the caffeine. So you are going to have a more caffeinated response to a crimson tea. That being said, put it in context. Like, this is not even close to a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? They say something like 1/20th of a cup of coffee. So you're gonna be okay, even if you're fairly caffeine sensitive, unless you make a really strong cup of crimson tea and you brew it really long and really hard, you know, like and like super dose it or something. Then yeah, you're gonna get a caffeinated response. And there's no getting around it. Or if you just do like tons of infusions of this. But I do find that I do get like hydrated and awake and a really beautiful feeling from this tea. And science says it's good for combating hangovers.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I haven't been hungover in, I think, decades.
You know, I don't remember ever being hungover. I was never the fellow to go and drink at parties.
That's freeing. That's very freeing.
Isn't it a teetotaler? I can't remember what that means.
A teetotaler. So the crimson tea. It's interesting because some people make the argument, oh, black tea has more caffeine than coffee. I've heard people say that, and I'm like, that's impossible.
Well, it depends, right? Like, again, that's like gas station weak coffee. Like, a lot of gas stations don't follow the Gold Cup standard. The Gold Cup standard, as established by the Specialty Coffee Association of America, is calculated by using the rule of 16s. So you want to take, for every gram of coffee, you want to use 16 milliliters of water. That being said, if you're producing for higher profits, or you have a difference in opinion on how strong your coffee should be, you're not going to follow this Gold Cup standard, and you're going to make it weaker. The weaker you make it, the less caffeine there is going to be in it. And it's interesting because when you see these studies, I always ask myself, okay, so we're talking about cups of tea or cups of coffee, or if I have 6 cups of green tea a day, you should know pretty good now, you're on episode 24 now, how different every tea can be. Like 2 grams, 3 grams, 2 grams for a matcha, 3 grams for this crimson tea, 6 grams for that oolong, 8 grams for this tea. You know, like, it's so all over the map that there is no real like average that you can really work with. And I doubt that every study is using the same brewing parameters, and different brewing parameters are going to draw out different attributes of the tea that are going to interact with your body in different ways. So it's really hard to pin down that, you know. I've seen a study where it was like, matcha, so much caffeine, it's going to just like blow your mind and you're not going to be able to sleep. But like, you know, there's a lot of L-theanine, and that's a tranquilizer in matcha. So you're gonna get tired sometimes. Some people actually get tired from drinking matcha. Most people just get a nice 6-hour calm energy because it's both a stimulant and a tranquilizer working in tandem in your system. That's what I mean by the inhibitor. L-theanine acts as an inhibitor on the caffeine, right? So you can't just say, you know, this tea has this much caffeine versus coffee. Like, what kind of extraction of coffee? What kind of extraction of tea? What withering percentage of the PPO enzyme has been established within that tea? Because that's going to affect the inhibitors in the tea. So you know, they talk about this with protein, like it's all about bioavailability. You could say the same thing with caffeine. It's about how it hits your system. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
I love this tea. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, it's amazing. Is there a tea that's black that took the matcha concept?
So crimson teas, and I should tell our viewers too, I keep saying crimson tea, aka black tea, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, but the English renamed the genre of red or crimson tea black tea, but that genre already existed. So in North America, we have to call that genre dark tea so that we can call red tea or crimson tea black tea. So when I say crimson tea, aka black tea, that's what I'm it's the same thing. But yeah. So your question is there such thing as a matcha version of crimson tea, aka black tea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's not like a traditional tea that you see widely available, but we do have a powdered crimson tea that we work with in our chais and our London fogs.
I was just thinking about the London fog, yes. Yeah,
and then we blend that up. That's not standard, though. A standard London fog is a scented crimson tea. You scent it with oil of bergamot to make an Earl Grey. So, you know, a lot of people's favorite tea is Earl Grey, but in my opinion, that's because Earl Grey uses an essential oil of bergamot, and that oil is not going to go bad as quickly as the volatile oils in a lot of teas. So in most people's tea cupboard, where they've opened up, all of the tea that they ever bought, and it's just sitting in there oxidizing for years on end, they're going to find that the tea that has the most resilience is going to be those that are scented, right? And so Earl Grey is going to be right up there. And also oil of bergamot is really calming. It like makes you feel really relaxed. That smell, it's very, very good for the nervous system. So I think it's both of those things together. It's both the tea that actually holds up in the cupboard, and it's the fact that it's quite relaxing. But yeah, normally you make a strong Earl Grey, and then you put in some steamed milk. So it's kind of like a misto, and you put in a pump of vanilla syrup. But what we're doing is we do micro-milled crimson tea, and we actually make our own vanilla bean sugar, and then we scent it with an oil of bergamot we get wild crafted in the Italian Alps. So we try to make it into like a craft process. It's not normal. It's kind of like a bubblegum tea, and most like hardcore baristas hate making London fogs. But
so you could technically make a London fog with this tea.
You totally could. You could scent it with oil of bergamot. You could make it super strong, and you could put like half and half with steamed milk and add a pump of vanilla, and you'd have yourself a London fog.
Oh.
But in my opinion,
I think
that would be a waste.
Yeah, this is amazing. Should we do one more brew? I have to go kind of soon. I think my clock is.
Yeah, let's do it.
I actually have a timer at the corner.
Because you.
Oh yeah.
So remind our viewers then, while we're making the second steep, where they can find you and what tell us a little bit about Sister Speak.
Oh sure. Should I start the brew first?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab the water.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna get some water too. Hold on, viewers.
Okay.
We're both getting water.
Be right back.
Okay. So I'm just heating up my water. Look at me enjoying this lovely Tocklai by Neha. I was also explaining about this tea that before you came on, or maybe it was while we had you on the waiting in the waiting room. Was that this is one of the only selections we have where the process of withering the leaves and the whole production is managed by Neha, a female farmer. So you don't see a lot of women farmers in the industry. It's fairly like you see women helping out with or being a big part of like separating teas or pulling out flawed leaves or sort of the detailed processes, but you don't see a lot of women who are managing the process of withering, that are the ones in charge of an estate. So this is an unusual situation to have basically a garden manager be a woman. So it's a lovely selection, and there's a lot going on about women's empowerment, rightfully so. And so it's nice to be able to access a tea like this and say, hey, like, this is really hard to find, and it shouldn't be, but it is. So, and I think she's done a fantastic job. What's really nice about the Doke Estate is I can often call them up and be like, hey, what's your withering percentage of, like how long are you letting that PPO enzyme hit before you put it into a temperature-controlled room? Right, so what they do is they do a similar process as mandokoro that I talked about. Do you remember the kocha zai raishu that we had with Maki? We talked a little bit about that, right? So they're very, the Doke Estate, because of Neha and their particular perspective, is very careful, which is great. So they're weighing the leaves before it goes through before they wither them, so that they know what the total mass is before they put them on drying beds, which they've just built some really cool, they built up their production facility so that they're actually holding the beds way up above the ground. A lot of places just put the leaves onto tarps to wither them on the ground in the sunshine. Okay. So these guys are holding them in baskets way up above the ground, and they're weighing those baskets, and then they put them up to air dry until it loses something like 75% of the moisture.
And that would be the weight.
Yeah.
So then they weigh them.
They can just weigh it back and forth, and then
Is
Sorry.
3 minutes? I'm so sorry. Is it 3 minutes again?
It is 4 minutes this time.
4 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Perfect.
3.5 minutes the first time. 4 minutes the second
Okay.
time.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I know you have to go in like 2 minutes, so we might be losing you mid-brew. But yeah, they weigh it 75%. Then they put it in. They start hand rolling it. So they've actually talked to us about like, hey, when you're in Japan, can you get us a price on one of those hand rolling machines? On those rolling machines, because it's kind of like going from, doing laundry by hand to using a washing machine. Like the amount of effort you save for the rolling part of rolling tea it's hard work to bruise the cell walls of the tea and like really get in there and roll the leaves, and that's really important for truly releasing those enzymes and really making it brown. And then they put them into a room where they let it wither at a particular temperature, generally about a little over 20 degrees, sometimes as much as 30 degrees. It depends on the region, the tea farm, what have you. But these guys can get really specific, which is really nice. And then there's a firing process at the end to just like kill that enzyme and complete the process. So just nailing each of those sections is going to have really incredible effect on the end flavor. And so I'm really interested in what they do. And this particular year, every other year, this is the Tocklai small leaf. So this is a very young harvest. This is the leaves when they're quite young. They normally harvest when they're a little bit older, and it's a different flavor entirely. I'll have to. That would have been really interesting. Maybe if I can get them on the show once we figure out what happened, maybe we can do a comparison of the Tocklai small leaf versus the Tocklai larger leaf, and then we can have kind of a cupping and see how just a different harvest time of the same leaves has such a profound effect. Be kind of cool.
Yeah, and this is the larger leaf?
This is the smaller leaf. This is the Tocklai small leaf.
Oh. I'm going to go right into my cup.
Okay.
That's okay.
Well, if it fits.
Well, actually, it doesn't fully. I'm going to do 2.
Then you're not decanting properly like we were talking about.
I know.
It's all good.
I know.
As long as you know what you're doing. That's interesting too. Why don't you taste both of those cups? You can see why we decant.
Okay. I will do that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So we're gonna Sister Speak's gonna have to leave us now to go on her show. Sherry-Ann, you want to tell us a little bit about the project and where people can find you before you leave, and what your thoughts on this tea and in parting?
Yeah, I'm really more a fan of the left cup.
Okay, was that the
it's
first?
It's a little bit yeah, it was the first one, and it's a little sweeter.
Right. Yeah. The now if you mix them together somehow, they would be even better because you'd have a full flavor structure.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Actually, I'm gonna pour it. I'm gonna mix it together with half of the first brew.
Nice. That's awesome. Now that's like a concoction, unreproducible.
I'm gonna try it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah. Anyway.
So, I play music. I love tea. I tour when it's safe. Thursdays I do a live stream. Usually right before Jared's show every Thursday. Patreon.com/sisterspeak, and I drink JagaSilk tea on the live stream. And do you want to be a guest still today after your show?
I would love to be. Yeah.
I love the phone call now. We do a phone call, so I usually have a guest call through phone calls. Like and I love tea and I love music, and then we dance at the end. So it's been fun.
And it's world, blues, reggae, everything. You have quite a canvas of different musical styles, a collage of musical styles that you perform. So always interesting and fun to watch. And also Sherry-Ann will be coming to Music Fridays. She's a big part of organizing it through her label Resonation, and works with JagaSilk Music to put on this show. Tomorrow we'll have Matt Stern performing here in Victoria, BC, outside in a COVID careful. Looking forward to people checking that out. I think there's one seat left, I think, on the website. You can find it on jagasilk.com/shop and just click on live music. And there's another show next week on the 25th. That's going to be my band performing, Truth and Dolphin. There'll also be Sister Speak that day as well. And then Steve Schmlar will be performing. So yeah, looking forward to your show tomorrow. Sherry-Ann, looking forward to your live stream today. Thank you for coming on the show. And have a wonderful, wonderful time with your stream, okay?
Thank you so much. I had a blast, and enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you so much. All right, you take care.
I'm gonna drink this tea on the show. Can you give me the correct introduction on the of the tea?
Sure. Yeah, it's the Tocklai small leaf.
Tocklai small leaf.
Yeah, Tocklai small leaf. And
Crimson.
It's a crimson tea. Yeah, or a AKA black tea. Because nobody
Okay.
will know what you're talking about if you say crimson tea.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was Sherry-Ann with Sister Speak. It was unfortunate we couldn't have the group, the tea farmers that we were hoping to have come on the show. I was pretty excited about it, but what can you do? Sometimes this kind of thing happens. So, but we did get a chance to drink their tea. I'm going to be enjoying the second steep in 37 seconds. I think it was really worthwhile. I hope that we can get them on in a future show if we can figure out what happened today. Next week, though, you will be able to check out the Tulsi and ashwagandha again. Now, the reason why we're doing the same tea again is we want to compare it to a Tulsi and ashwagandha that was grown by an amazing herbal tea farmer in Quebec, Charles Antoine. And we're going to discuss what they're doing differently, and we're going to cup side by side with the Tulsi and ashwagandha that we're buying from a farm in Oregon. So we'll compare those side by side. If we are able to, I don't know if this might be a little bit too much in one show. We also have some Okamidori Shimoyama matcha to taste. So if we get to it, amazing. If not, it will be on a future show. But I highly encourage you to check out both of them, the Tulsi Ashwagandha, the Okamidori Shimoyama. You can grab them both on our web store. Again, that's jagasilk.com/shop. And you can click on matcha or click on loose tea to purchase. This Tocklai small leaf by Neha should be on the shop fairly quickly. The Keeman we still haven't been able to put on the shop. Sorry about that. It should be on, I'm hoping, within the next 2 weeks. This Tocklai, though, should be on very, very, very soon. It's basically ready for you to purchase. Thank you very much for watching today. Look forward to seeing you next week. Next week it will be 1 p.m. again, Thursday, as it is every week. Looking forward to having you on JagaVision, episode 25. You have a wonderful day, and see you on Thursday. If you're watching this archived, click subscribe and join the fun. Drink some tea together. Thank you.